All right. Now let's start by opening Xcode,
Xcode, crickets.
and I'm going to create a new file. So usually it's Command Option Shift N to create a new playground.
Playground ellipsis. In dialog. 4. Window. My playground. Contents. Choose option. Mac OS. Platform colon. My playground. Content selected. Name.
Okay, so the playground name is whatever you want to call it. I'll call this tutorial 1.
Selection replaced. T. Tutorial. Tutorial 1.
So once you got that, you go through some of the options. I'll just voiceover write. Hopefully the voiceover rate is slow enough for you guys. I usually have it sounding like a very hyper accelerated chipmunk, but not everyone is quick or has been on this for a while.
Mac OS. Platform colon.
So you can choose Mac OS, iOS. You got various options. I'll keep it on Mac OS for now.
Cancel. Previous. Next.
And then you got press next.
List 1. I press finish.
And this is where you choose where to put it into. And yeah.
New folder. Cancel. Create.
And then, okay, once you've created, you'll have the file and you'll be fine with it. What I'll do is I'll load up a pre-created playground. So I'll cancel this.
Tutorial 1. Content.
So when you go into the project editor, so what you press is Command 1. And in Xcode, you have several different tabs that you can use. So you got
Audio hide. Xcode. Window. Tutorial 1. Content selected. Project Navigator.
Okay, I'm in the Project Navigator.
Sources. Tutorial 1. Playground.
Okay, so that's the playground, and it usually comes by default with 2 folders. One which is the source, and the other one which is the resource folder. That's usually where you put all your audio files and other non-class files.
Sources. Folder. Resources. Folder reference.
Okay.
Sort. Tutorial 1. Playground.
So the playground file itself is where everything kind of happens. So there's a nifty little shortcut, which is Command J, and then press Enter to get straight into the editor.
Move focus to editor ellipses. Source code insertion on.
So I'm inside. Now the first thing to do is to import the modules we're going to use for this specific task. So the first one is going to be SceneKit.
Where people can play. New line. Import SceneKit.
Okay, so import SceneKit. Just type it down. Now, just a quick note. Apple has a way of making notation easy for screen readers. As all of you who do, C, C++, you know that snake notation with the underlines becomes very long and tedious, a lot of spurious information. What I like with Apple is that their notation is camel notation. So for classes, every first letter of a word that you would put together for the name of a class is in uppercase, and the rest is in lowercase. And when it comes to functions or variables, the first letter will be lowercase. That's the distinction. But what's nice is that when it's written this way, you can actually understand what the name of the class, variable, property, whatever, is going to be.
New import SceneKit.
So
import playground support.
So another one is to import the playground support. So again, capital P, playground, support with capital S. Now these 2 frameworks will allow you to load up the playground and load up SceneKit.
New line.
Okay. The next thing to do now is to create a variable called, I would call it scene. So it's an instance of SCN scene. So anything that is an acronym will have all of its letters capitalized, and scene at the end will be capital S.
Let scene equals SCN scene left parent right parent.
So I put a let scene to say that this is static. It's not variable. Once it's created, it will stay there in memory, and you can't move it unless you actually deallocate it and replace it.
Let view equals SCN view left parent frame colon.
Now, the next one is the view. So that's pretty much the container of where the scene is going to be appearing. And when you instantiate an SCN view, again, capital S, capital C, capital N, capital V, I, E, W, you need to define the actual rectangle within which the view is going to work. You could set it up as anything you want, but upon instantiation, you do have to create it. So here it is.
Left view equals SCNU, left parent frame colon.
So the frame, that is the argument that you're going to put inside, and that is an NSRECT.
NSRECT left parent X colon 0.0, Y colon 0.0, width colon 400.0, height colon 400.0, right parent.
So for an NSRECT, the 4 arguments are as such. The first one is the X position, and it starts from the top left. Y position from the top left, same thing. Then the 2 other arguments are the width and length. Those are in points. So I set it up as 400 by 400 just for convenience, but you could put it anything you want.
View dot is accessibility enabled, left parent, right parent.
So view dot is accessibility enabled is an argument that you're going to put to make it so that VoiceOver can sort of understand the objects which are inside. But this will come later in a further tutorial.
View dot auto enables default lighting.
So view dot auto enabled lighting is some of the basic configurations that you have in dot notation. So you got the view dot, and you can have default lighting. You can have some debugging information. You can say whether the camera can be controlled with the trackpad. So those are default control settings.
Equals true. View dot scene equals scene.
Now, what you do is you contain the scene inside the view. And here, so it's view.scene equals scene. You can call the scene anything else you want. And you can kind of interchange them if you have several scenes that you want to play with and go around when you create a function.
New line. Let hang node equals SCN node, left parent, right parent.
Okay. Now we have the next object which goes inside the scene. So the scene pretty much is the parent node of the world, which itself has this thing called a root node, which itself has everything else. And the origin is usually 0, 0, 0. So X, Y, and Z coordinates are at 0 by default when you create nodes. So this one, I called it a hang node, which is a sound. I'll show you.
Let hang node equals SCN node, left parent, right parent.
So SCN node, I've instantiated it.
var source equals SCN audio source.
Now, source is SCN audio source. So the audio source is a kind of file, MP3, AIAFF, MP4, even buffer streams that you can place inside a source. And what the argument requests a string for which you have where you have the file, usually in the resource folder.
Left parent file name colon quote hang.mp3 quote right parent.
Okay, so now just quickly to kind of segue, I'll show you in the project manager again, command 1.
Show project navigator,
Okay, and I'll go to the resources
sources, folder, resources, folder reference. Crickets.mp3, hang.mp3,
So
mp3 audio.
hang.mp3 audio, which is inside. Now, in order for you to import objects, you have to go to the resource
Crickets.mp
folder,
resources, folder reference.
and you do a contextual menu, so which is VO Shift M.
Menu. Show and open with open net. Show file inspect. New file. Add files to resources. Ellipsis.
So you got the add files to resources, and that's where you can import all of the different files inside.
Divider.
Usually, I tend to keep all the audio files in the project folder in Finder first, and then afterwards I import them into Xcode.
Sources. Tutorial 1. Playground.
Okay, so I'm going to go back into the editor.
Move focus to editor ellipsis. Left parent file name colon quote hang.mp3 quote source.loops equals true.
So the source has, so the SCN audio source object has different parameters inside. So you can have a rate, you can have volume, you can tell whether it loops, you can tell whether it's streams. So stream is a bit more advanced, but we'll get to that in a later video.
Source.volume equals 50.0.
So source.volume 50.0.
Source.load left parent right parent.
Now I prepare the source audio file so that it's in memory and it can be reused many different times. Now the next thing,
Scene.root node.add child node. Left parent hang node right parent.
So from the scene's root node, so scene.root node.add child node, which is the method, and that's where I'm going to put in the hang node.
Let player equals SCN audio player.
Now, I have an SCN audio player object, and I'll call it player. Again, this is an object which will require an audio source to load. Now, SCN auto players get consumed and then they get deallocated from memory. So they will each time have to be recreated and then placed into the source, into the node. Each time you want to play or trigger something to play the audio. In this case, as you've noticed, the source is actually looped. So it will just continuously stay in the node without being consumed and disappear.
Left parent source : source right parent / hang node dot audio player left parent play or right parent.
Okay. Now you know commenting, which is // what I've done is I commented this out so that the playground does not start playing the audio right away.
Hang node dot position equals SCN vector 3 or right. Now, hang node dot audio player left parent play.
Okay, so I've added a audio player, so the player into the hang node.
Or right. Hang node dot position equals SCN vector 3.
Okay. Now I'm giving hang node a position, which is an SCN vector 3 object. It takes 3 arguments, the X, Y, and Z positions. In this case, I've put it slightly towards the right.
Left parent X : 5.0, Y : 0.0, Z : 0.0 right parent.
As you see, X at 5.0. Now, another segue, your world space is set up so that the X goes across Y vertically, and the Z is that third dimension. Imagine you're just projecting yourself into and out of the screen. If you want to go into the screen, you actually use a minus sign. So negative from the origin, and positive is coming out of the screen, and negative into the screen. So you just have to keep that convention. Different platforms use different conventions, but generally this is the way.
New line. Playground page. Current. Live view.
Now, the playground page is an object imported from the playground support module. Itself is a static class, and it has a live view.
New playground page. Current. Live view.
So playground page current live view, and you set up the view for the live view, which is the view instance we've created earlier.
Equals view.
So equals view.
New line. New line. New line. New line.
And this is pretty much it. And this will have the hanged object inside. And what I'll do is I'll start running the playground.
Execute playground.
Execute the playground. Okay. Oh,
new equal play.
I
new
need
line.
to uncomment the audio players.
Left parent X hang node or right hang node / left parent /
There you go.
/ add audio hang node / I
uncomment that.
Save.
And re-execute. Okay. So now you can hear something hanging on the right. Correct? So that's kind of creepy, but I've set it up to 5 on the right, on the X coordinate. Now let's try to change this to put it on the left-hand side instead of the right. So I'll go to the position.
Hang node position equals SCN vector 3.
So SCN position, SCN vector 3.
Left parent X : space 5.
Now it's 5. I'll put it at -5.
Dash.
Okay, so here we go again. It seems like playground is semi-dynamic. So when you change things, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But in this case, it's working. What I've done is I've changed the position to the X equals -5.0. Now you see that it's panned to the left-hand side, or you can hear that it panned to the left-hand side. Sorry about that. So this is how it works, generally speaking. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to add a few more nodes. And I'm going to comment out the add player.
Hang node position equals SCN vec. Hang node add audio. Hang left parent new line. Playground page current live equals view play new left hang left parent source left player equals SCN audio play left hang node add audio player left parent player hang node /
Okay.
Save.
I've stopped it.
New line equals view. New line.
Now I'm just going to go further down after having placed the view into the playground page. Let's create a node called crickets. All right.
Let C
Crickets.
crickets equals cap S SCN.
So the nice part about Xcode is that when you start typing, it's going to suggest some options. Right now, I'm in the suggestion table, and I've got
Cap N, Cap C, Cap S,
SCN.
Cap F, Cap C, Cap N.
So that's for scene, right? It's an abbreviation of it. And now I can also press escape to get the suggestions. But I'll put another character, N, to start
SCN
node.
Image, SCN node, SCN node,
So I got the SCN node.
SCN node.
And to instantiate it, I press the left and right parent.
Left right parent.
Okay.
New line. Let crickets equals SCN node left parent right. New line.
Okay. So crickets. It's going to be interesting. All right. The next thing I'm going to do is create the audio source. So
let S
source crickets
source equals.
Now, please make sure to respect the camel notation. That way, when you read a variable, it's not going to go blah, blah, blah. It's going to really sound nice and clear what kind of variable you're actually dealing with. So this time it's an SCN audio source. So I'll just type SCN, then audio.
Cap S. SCN audio.
Audio, and I'm in the suggestion table.
Image, SCN audio source. SCN audio source.
So that's the SCN audio source. So it's the source file. And
SCN audio source.
Another good thing with the suggestions, I'll put left parent.
Left parent. Image. SCN audio source. Left parent coder colon image. SCN audio source. Left parent file name colon string right parent.
Okay, so there, file name, argument, and I put a string inside.
Less number, T number, string number greater.
Okay, when it says less number, that is a container to tell you that you have to complete the argument. And in this case, I think my file is called crickets.mp3. So because it is a string, you have to make sure that it's enclosed in quotation marks, which is shift and the key left of the enter. Right?
Selection replaced. File name colon.
Crickets
period.
mp3.
Quote. Right parent.
Now, I'm going to double check to make sure that it is crickets.mp3 by going to the project manager.
Show project navigator, project source resources, folder, crickets.mp3, MP3 audio.
It's fine. Crickets.mp3.
Resource tutorial 1, playground.
I'm going to go back to the
Move focus to editor ellipses. New quote, crickets.mp3, quote, right parent. Right parent. New line.
Now this time, I have to place the crickets node.
Quote, cricket, SCN audio, let source crickets, let crickets equals SCN node, let source SCN audio, quote, crickets.m, new line.
Into the scene. So I have scene.
Scene, period.
Root node. Camel notation again.
Root node, period.
Add child node.
Image, void. Add audio player left image, void. Add child node left parent child colon. Less number, T number, child colon. SCN node number, SCN node number greater.
Crickets.
Selection replaced, C. Crickets. Right parent.
Okay.
New line.
Now that one is in there. Now, finally, I have to create a player for the crickets. So
let C.
Crickets player.
Crickets player equals cap
SCN audio player this time.
SCN audio R. SCN audio player left parent. Less number, T number, SCN audio source number. Selection.
The audio source will be source crickets.
Right parent. New line.
Okay, the player is ready. What I'll do as well with the cricket sounds is to maybe put the volume up a bit and make it loop. So I have to go back up to
source crickets source. Right parent. SCN audio play. Let crickets player equals. Left parent crickets right parent. Scene dot root no quote crickets SCN audio source. Let source crickets equals.
Okay, source crickets.
SCN quote crickets dot mp3 quote right parent. Right parent. New line.
So source crickets.
Source crickets period. Loops equals
true.
T. New line.
So this says that it's going to be looping.
Scene left parent crickets. Let crickets player SCN audio player. Source crickets. New line.
Okay. Finally, I'm going to take the crickets node and change its position a bit so that it's not center but maybe a bit forward and towards the right. So crickets
period,
dot position
position, equals.
Now I'm going to instantiate SCN vector 3,
cap S,
vector 3,
left parent, image, / error type greater image, SCN node, crickets,
SCN vector 3, X
space,
let's see, maybe towards the right, so about maybe 3 meters to the right, or 3 units.
3 period 0 space y space 0 space z colon space.
Because it's going forward, it's got to be minus. So I'll put it about minus 10 meters.
Dash 10 period 0 right parent new line.
Okay.
Left parent x crickets dot position equals SCN vector 3.
So SCN vector 3. There might be a mistake.
SCN vector 3 left parent.
So I'll just make sure that it's correct.
Cap S, cap C, cap N, cap V, E, C, T, O, R, 3.
Okay, that's fine.
New line. New left parent x new line.
Now, in Playground, you can check if you've made any kind of mistakes by pressing Command full. That's the issue navigator. So that's where all the warnings and errors, diagnostic errors, and so on happen. So I'll press Command full.
Show issue navigator. Tutorial 1 Playground. 1 issue.
Okay, so I have an issue.
Swift compiler error.
Okay, compiler error.
Value of optional type. SCN audio source. Not unwrapped semicolon. Did you mean to use? Or.
Okay.
Tutorial 1 playground error.
It's asking if it's been unwrapped. So this is something which is quite unique to Swift, which is optionals. So what happens usually is when you instantiate an object, sometimes it can return nil. And for security features, Swift basically asks whether it's an optional, which is a question mark after the object has been created, or an exclamation mark, to make it explicit, to say, I guarantee that this object exists and it's not going to return a nil. To some it's annoying, to some others it's actually pretty good because it is a security feature. So what I'll do is go ahead and make sure that it's explicit with a exclamation mark, and go back to the editor.
Move focus to editor limited. New line. Left parent x colon 3 point crickets dot position equals source crickets right parent SCN audio let crickets player equals left parent crickets right scene dot root node dot add source crickets quote cricket SCN audio source left parent file name colon.
Okay, so SCN audio source
quote crickets dot mp3 quote right parent
and I put an exclamation mark.
Exclaim